Hey everybody, this is Steve Krause. I'm coming at you on a Friday from my office, the Friday before Thanksgiving, and wanted to make a couple announcements about stuff that's going on in the class, just to, um, you know, update you on stuff that's going on in the class. The first thing is that I want to let you all know that I'm done commenting on the latest drafts of the style projects. So style part one and style part two. The grades for all that are on EMU online, so you can go check that out. I thought you guys did pretty good in the style projects. I enjoyed a lot of the different variations of style that people played around with this assignment. So it went well. I think that people and for both the first part and the second part did some really good work. So that's good. And I also know that everybody's working on their movie projects right now. As I record this on Friday, it's getting a little on the late side to be working on a movie because I'm guessing that a lot of people aren't going to have a lot of time to do it over Thanksgiving and things like that. So hopefully things for that will be wrapping up very soon. And ideally, you'll send me a link to your completed movie project before Thanksgiving. Certainly, but right after the Monday of Thanksgiving, those will be due. And then, if you look at the schedule on the website, you'll see then when we'll have the peer review will start and everything else, and stuff will start wrapping up towards the end of the semester. Now, and I'm looking at my other screen over here to sort of like look at some of what I want to talk about. Um, let me Now we're at a stage in the term in which it makes a certain amount of sense to talk more about revisions and to talk about how the rest of the semester is going to wrap up. So first about revisions. Now, if you look at the syllabus, you'll see that there's a policy there that explains the revision policy for the major projects for the class. Do read over that because there's some important information there. But let me just give you sort of a brief rundown of what you can revise, how it works, and things like that. First off, what you can revise. You can revise any of the major writing projects for the term. That is the Invention and Technology project, the Ancient Style project, Style Part 1 and Part 2, and the essay portion of the movie project. You can even revise that as well. You've already revised one of the projects based on the style part one, and you could conceivably go back and revise that again, but there's a pretty good chance that if you're going to revise a different paper, it'd make more sense to revise one of the other two. You can also revise the second part of the style project, and while the schedule is kind of tight for it, you can even revise the movie project. The reason why it becomes difficult to do so typically, though, is that oftentimes revising the movie essay involves working with others in a way that might make it kind of difficult, and also that project will be due on Wednesday, December 7th, and then revisions of it will be due, and I'll turn around and make comments on revisions will be due at the final. So you don't have as much time to work on that, but in theory that you could. The basic rules for revision are this. Oh, let me mention this before I forget in terms of what you can't revise. You can't revise any of the blog entries or participation or the final. Okay. So that being said, the basic rules for revision. The first rule for revision is that you can only revise each of the major projects once. I wear glasses, and for those of you out there who wear glasses, go to the eye doctor. It's not one of these situations where, well, is it an A yet? And then you make a little change. Is it better now? Is it better now? It's like when I go to the eye doctor, they always do that. Is the first one better? The second one better? Get the idea. So, anyways, you get one. The first rule is you get to revise things once. The second rule is that all revisions are due at the time of the final, the end of time for our class, which this term is December 16th at 5 p.m. Michigan time. The third rule is you have to come physically see me or talk with me via Skype or on the phone about your revision. And when we have this conversation, you need to have with you some kind of plan about what it is that you're going to change. It's not just a question of, I'm just going to fix the stuff that you told me to fix. Rather, it's a question of what vision do you have to revise things, to re-see how it's done. That meeting is really important, and if you want to revise something, you need to set up a time and schedule that with me. Again, either face-to-face or electronically. Revisions you'll do, if you want to do them, you'll do in the Google Doc that you created for the first time around for the draft. That way, that gives me a chance to see literally the sort of changes that you made with the history of the previously saved versions of the essay. So it's important that you use it in Google Docs. The last piece of advice I'll give you about revision is that you want to revise things strategically. And this is what I mean. If you will find out by the end of the term, actually the last day of class, December 12th, you'll know that you'll have in hand the grades for everything in the class as it stands without any revisions except for the final. Okay? Now the final is only worth 50 points out of 1,000. And what I always tell people is that I will never give you a grade lower on the final that will affect your overall grade. In other words, if you're getting a B in the class, I'm not going to give you a D on the final to drop your grade. So the final only kind of factors into a little bit. So on the last day of class, you'll have everything that you need to know. You'll know exactly what grade that you're going to get for the term before revisions. If you're on an edge between grades, that is, you're right between a B and a B plus, or a B plus and an A minus, or something like that, then it probably makes some sense to revise. But on the other hand, if you're right smack dab in the middle of a B or right in the middle of a C, it probably doesn't pay to revise, because you'd have to revise all of your projects to improve the grade, like a half letter grade. And you can do that if you want. You can revise all the major writing projects if you want. It's just kind of a question of, use your time wisely. And that's one of the reasons why I like to talk to people about revisions before they do it, because sometimes people want to revise things that it would be better to revise a different assignment in terms of making up for a better grade. So that's why that part of the conversation is really important. Okay, I think that's the main thing for now. I want folks to enjoy their Thanksgiving break. I know I will be. I'll be traveling. But I also want to make sure people get done with the movie projects, because that you need to have your group's project up and running so that you have something to write an essay about and you have a movie to share with other people. Okay, see you later.